can I borrow you for a moment? Please. Will you stand up here? And Chelsea is profiled because of her hair. Andrew, can you come up? And Andrew is profiled because of his color. Now, Chelsea can tuck her hair away, and you don't see this, but you always see this. It's time that we, as a species, it's not racism, it's colorism. Let's be clear. We're all the same race. Now, it's easy for me to walk out those doors because I appear to be a white woman. So it's easy for me because I can hide the fact that I'm Native. Now, when I was little, it was a little bit more difficult. Does that make sense? Some people can't hide. So it takes all of us to stand up and say we're all equal. And we can do it in a peaceful way. I'm not saying go out and take up arms. I'm not saying go hurt people because hate breeds hate. There's one thing that doesn't, and that is love. Thank you. So, if love fuels all things, why are we just not doing it more? Because we've gotten hurt. How many of you have been hurt? You gotten hurt? Community hurt you, a neighbor hurt you, a teacher may have hurt you, a friend may have hurt you, and you started to not love quite so. A child, no, they love. And they don't think I'm going to get hurt. But we, as people, we stop loving. Now this is where our free choice comes in. Our free will. Our free will is that we can choose to allow life to harden us and to stop us from loving. Or we can choose to have life make us more compassionate and more loving. We are evolving. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Every religion besides atheists believe there is something different outside, that's inside of our body that goes somewhere. It's our spirit, our soul, you can name it different things, right? But there's something that goes somewhere. Our free will choices, we get to decide. If we're going to evolve in human form, there's been a few people that have been able to do it, like Mahatma Gandhi and Buddha, Jesus. A few people that have been able to attain to show us that it is possible. It's possible for us to do this. To walk in human form while being spiritual. So, how many of you know the Lord's Prayer? How many of you know the Lord's Prayer? Somebody, whoever, just say it. Say the Lord's Prayer. Somebody.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven.
Whoa! Go back and say it again. And I want you to think about the last sentence that you just said when I say what. Say it again.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Go! You might want a ding-ding.
It's coming.
I'm getting ready to rant. Here's my rant, ladies and gentlemen. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come and thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. As above, so below. Now, all of us have heard this, have we not? Would you like to know what the New Bible says?
Sure.
Okay, somebody with a good voice, read this for me.
He
Anybody?
said to
Father.
them, when you pray, say, Father, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Give us each day our daily bread. Forgive us our sins.
What? What? Under your noses, it has happened for centuries and centuries and centuries. I have a Bible from 1735 that is completely different than the Bible that you read today. Now, in 20 years, I'm going to have one of your children or one of your loved ones sitting here, and I'm going to be talking to them. I'm going to say, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And they're going to look at me like I grew 3 eyeballs. Does this make sense? Right under your nose. Changed. Do you want to know why it's changed? Because people like me, and believe it or not, other spiritual teachers, whether it's in Christianity, Buddhism, doesn't matter. We're pointing out where the books are telling us how amazing and wonderful our life is going to be and how it truly is going to be blissful. You don't have to wait for death. It's going to be blissful. I'm on a rant. How many of you think that's okay? You think it's okay that they took it out?
Isn't that blasphemy, by the way?
Who in here is upset about this? I'm sweating. I'm on fire. I'm hot. Because I'm like, again, I'm like, because I just don't understand. I don't understand how our spiritual books can be changed and manipulated right in front of our eyes and we're not catching it. Do you want to know why we're not catching it? The distractions. We're too busy. We're too busy. And by the time you pick up a book, how many of you, when was the last time you picked up let's say a Bible? Yesterday? How many of you picked up a Bible yesterday? How many of you picked up one this week? How about last week? How about the week before? Do you see? Do you see how easily it gets changed? So I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you to understand that you are not what you've been led to believe, and that you do have lessons. And how many of you know people that are out there that are suffering? How many of you know somebody suffering? Whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically, they feel like nobody loves them, they feel lost. Some people, how many of you felt crazy before you walked in here? Like you're like, oh, I might be a little bit nuts. I might be a little crazy. Everybody else is saying one thing and I'm just not jiving with it. I don't understand. Okay? And then you came here and you went, oh, I'm not crazy. This is good. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I will never be here to tell you what to believe. I'm here only to make you question. That's it. Only to make you question. So if we have something like this, we have to look kind of historically to see some of the lessons, right? Before we can move forward, we got to make sure that we got the lessons from the past. Does this make sense? Okay. So we've had 5 mass extinctions in the Earth's time of being. Now, science just recently caught up and proved that our planet is much, much older than people have led you to believe. But it happens about every 62 million years as we go through a mass extinction. So we've been through 5. And I just want to point out what's consistent. Okay, so flip to the next one. Okay, so this one, we lost 75% of all species became extinct. 75%. Flip to the next one. 70 to 75% of all species went extinct here. Whoa! 96% of all marine species and an estimated of 70% of land species, including insects. I'm going to stop on the insects for a minute. How many of you know that our bees are like becoming very extinct very quickly? How many of you know that when the bee goes, our food chain really? So when these species come extinct, what we don't see is that Earth is in such a delicate balance. It's so harmonic. Everything lives in harmony with each other that when one species goes extinct, it affects the other species. And then the other species start going extinct, which affects the other species. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
So, if we lose our bees, so if you're still spraying Roundup on your yard, we got a problem. We got an issue. We do. It's causing problems.
No problem.
People are like, well, I don't want weeds, I want a green grass. And I'm like, I want to live. So, do I really care that your grass is green? Like, I was born and raised on a farm. When I moved off the farm and I found out people pay for grass, and not, whoa, what? Not that, I heard the laughs. Not that. But they pay for sod, grass on, what?
I know.
It is beyond my comprehension. But do you see? So flip to the next one. Okay, Here, 50% of all genre and 70% of all species. Gone. Gone. Okay? Life is delicate. It's a balance. This is why when people go, I killed that. I go, but we don't even know. Did you know that the wolf song, when they were reintroduced into Yellowstone Park, actually brought back the rivers and the water? We had no idea. We had no idea until we brought the wolves back to Yellowstone. We didn't understand what was going on. We brought them back, and all of a sudden, the rivers started flowing again. And it's because everything is delicately balanced. And we don't get it. We don't understand it because we're not evolved up here where we can see the big picture. Does that make sense? But now we're starting to realize everything. That's why I pick up brown recluses out of my house and take them outside. And by the way, if you have that problem, peppermint oil is awesome. Spray it along your doorways and it doesn't kill Mother Earth, which is really awesome too. Peppermint. But I pick them up and take them out. Now people are like, just kill it, it's poisonous. But I don't know what else it does. Like people say, well, what's the purpose of a mosquito besides just to bite me and irritate me? Well, I have no idea. But what I know is that there is a reason why it is here. And there is a balance that it lives within, just like we live in a balance. So we've had 5. How many of you know we're in the middle of our 6th? It's called the year cone. Okay, just to let you know, there is actually a scientific term, and we are in the middle of it right now. I want you to watch this. Just watch it for educational purposes. Believe me, I'm going to bring it around to a positive reason why we're watching something that's not the best, that makes us warm and fuzzy inside.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. I'm honored to be here today. I stand before you not as an expert, but as a concerned citizen. One of the 400,000 people who marched in the streets of New York on Sunday, and the billions of others around the world who want to solve our climate crisis. As an actor, I pretend for a living. I play fictitious characters, often solving fictitious problems. I believe that mankind has looked at climate change in that same way, as if it were a fiction, as if pretending that climate change wasn't real would somehow make it go away. But I think we all know better than that now. Every week we're seeing new and undeniable climate events, evidence that accelerated climate change is here right now. Droughts are intensifying, our oceans are acidifying, with methane plumes rising up from the ocean floor. We are seeing extreme weather events and the West Antarctic and Greenland ice sheets melting at unprecedented rates, decades ahead of scientific projections. None of this is rhetoric, and none of it is hysteria. It is fact. The scientific community knows it, industry knows it, governments know it, even the United States military knows it. The Chief of the U.S. Navy's Pacific Command, Admiral Samuel Locklear, recently said that climate change is our single greatest security threat. My friends, this body, perhaps more than any other gathering in human history, now faces this difficult but achievable task. You can make history, or you will be vilified by it. To be clear, this is not about just telling people to change their light bulbs or to buy a hybrid car. This disaster has grown beyond the choices that individuals make. This is now about our industries and our governments around the world taking decisive, large-scale action. Now must be our moment for action. We need to put a price tag on carbon emissions and eliminate government subsidies for oil, coal, and gas companies. We need to end the free ride that industrial polluters have been given in the name of a free market economy. They do not deserve our tax dollars. They deserve our scrutiny. For the economy itself will die if our ecosystems collapse. The good news is that renewable energy is not only achievable, but good economic policy. This is not a partisan debate, it is a human one. Clean air and a livable climate are inalienable human rights. And solving this crisis is not a question of politics, it is a question of our own survival. This is the most urgent of times and the most urgent of messages. Honored delegates, leaders of the world, I pretend for a living, but you do not. The people made their voices heard on Sunday around the world, and the momentum will not stop. But now it is your turn. The time to answer humankind's greatest challenge is now. We beg of you to face it with courage and honesty. Thank you.
So not necessarily the most positive message, but a truthful and honest message, right?
No.
So, no, it's not truthful and honest?
No, but he's talking about taxing for carbon tax. He's not doing anything to solve it, which is free energy
I didn't say it was a solving message.
and all of that stuff.
It's a truthful message. Meaning he's saying that our oceans are acidifying, which is true. He's saying that,
From the weather change.
he's saying that,
Chemtrails.
he didn't say why. You're right.
Exactly.
He didn't say why, but it's bringing the attention and awareness to the problem. Now, he's saying that we need to tax them. I personally don't agree with that. I believe that we need to stop using things that destroy our planet. I believe that all the movies that were shown where the aliens come to take our resources, guess what? We're here. We're here. We're taking our resources. We're raping our lands. We're destroying our water. We're poisoning it all in the name of money and economics. Now, I'm not telling you to take up arms, and I'm not telling you to leave here depressed. What I'm telling you is you have the power to change it. Where two or more are gathered, there I am. How do you change it? Well, we see the lesson, right? We see that this has happened 5 times. We're now in our 6th. So there's a lesson there. The great thing is that there's a lot of people that are more, becoming more aware and growing on their, what I call their spiritual consciousness. Whether you want to call it God consciousness, the God mind, Christ consciousness, nirvana, enlightenment. There's lots of words for this. But we're all each here and we're doing what? We're evolving, right? How many of you can look at decisions that you made, let's say 10 years ago? If you're younger, let's say 10 years ago. If you're my age, you could go back 25, 30, 40, well, years. But would you say that you're more spiritually evolved or less spiritually evolved today than you were then? Okay, let me just ask you a question. Would you have walked into a place like this, let's say 20 years ago? No way! Them people are crazy! They're crazy. They're nuts. They're off the chain. 25 years ago when I was talking about this, before science caught up, I got some names, let me tell you. I don't think you could call me anything I haven't been called. But it's about us becoming more aware. And do I think that people in power are intentionally lying to you? I think sometimes yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think sometimes it's because they're exactly where they're at in their consciousness development, and so they only know what they know, and they can't see that the actions that they're taking is having this ripple effect. Does this make sense to you?
Or they do know, they don't care. 'Cause
Or-
they're making money and they're not going to pay.
Absolutely. Or, just like I said, there are those that are intentionally lying and they're doing it in the name of money. But then they steal. I invite you for this for a moment. So, let's say I'm one of these people that has a lot of money and I'm in power and I'm making decisions. And let's say that I know that killing our bee population is going to kill our food chain. Now, if we kill our food chain, last time I looked, we're all mammals. And we all need food. Well, there is the guy in China, though, that has operated on 15 years with no food, no water. Because he's attained a certain amount of enlightenment and he doesn't need sustenance. And they actually studied him in a hospital to make sure that he didn't intake food or water, and he didn't. So, amazing. I'm not there yet. I still need food and water. You guys still need food and water, right? Well, this person person that's in power that's making this decision still needs food and water. They still need food and water. So they can only be developed so much on their consciousness level, or they would see, wait a minute, I am one of those people that need that. Does that make sense? Do I think that the people that are in power that are preaching certain things that are not necessarily real truth? Do I think they're lying to you? I think that they're doing the best they can with where they're at on their conscious development. Does that make sense? I don't want you to go out there and judge and be like, see, they're because hate breeds hate. The only way that we can battle things like this is through love, peace, and harmony, and us evolving ourselves. The only person that you're in control of is you. That's it. Right? That's it. You're not even in control of your child. I know. I know. Like Chelsea was there with me when my son said, I'm moving to Savannah, and I went and cried, and I said, how is it that I see so clearly what's going to happen, and yet I have to sit and watch? Do you remember me saying that? So you could see the path so clearly, and I had to sit and watch. And some of you are sitting and watching and going, holy hand grenades, Batman, we got to change something. And some of you are still catching up and going, are you cold, love?
A little.
Can you turn it up? I sweat. I get up here and I turn into a fire. So the only way that we can do this is through our own evolution. It's through us working on ourselves to become more compassionate, more loving, more harmonious, more peaceful. And don't tell me you don't get angry. Just like the Dalai Lama said, if somebody doesn't exhibit some sort of anger at some time, I think something's wrong with them mentally. We're human. We're still having a human experience, you guys. I rant. Did you see me rant? I ranted. That was my little law. Do you see? We all have these emotions, but our emotions communicate with us. Let me give you some examples. Okay, how many of you have been in love? How's it feel? How's it feel? How's it feel to be in love? How's it feel when you're in love? The world is awesome! Love is so good! You smile and you giggle and you look at your phone a lot, you talk on the phone a lot, you love. Awesome. How do you feel when you're in fear? Now how do you feel when you're in joy? Now how do you feel when you're in fear? Now how do you feel when you're in harmony with everything? Now how do you feel when you're in fear? Okay, I'm making this point for a reason. You didn't think so. So we're talking about observation. I love this little guy. He's so adorable. I do. I just adore him. He's awesome. I want to take him home with me. Because he's reminding me to open my eyes and to look around and to remove some of the distractions. To remove some of the distractions in my life. You don't need to be on Facebook hours and hours and hours a day. You don't need to be Twittering hours a day, Instagramming hours a day. Do you understand what's on the television? Now, you could be watching something good, but there's very little good on the TV. And it's all ran by the same corporations with the same messages. So I'm trying to bring this to your attention, not to discourage you, but to help us see the lessons. So how do we see the lessons in our own life? Well, I thought about talking about mental lessons, emotional lessons, physical lessons, financial lessons. There's all these lessons, right? But they all really delineate down to spiritual lessons. All of them. As I was mapping out, it takes me a long time to do our presentations because I go down research and writing and how am I going to do this, and I ask Creator to help me deliver the message that needs to be delivered. I do all of this. And so I created this whole thing, and then I went, wait, I got to spiritual. And all of a sudden, it was so clear. I meditated. And very clearly, I heard, now you can throw all that out. I was like, are you kidding me? How many hours went into that? But it's all spiritual lessons. And think about it. You spend your time and your money on what you prioritize, don't you? So, if you're spending your time and your money watching TV, that's what you value. If you're spending your time and your money at Starbucks, that's what you value. If you're spending your time and your money on Facebook, that's what you value. If you are spending your time and your money on your spiritual development, then that's what you value. It doesn't lie. You'll lie to yourself. I'll lie to myself. But that doesn't lie. So we have to look. Physical illness first starts on the spiritual side before it gets to a physical side. Do you understand? So what spiritual lessons? Are we being pulled off our spiritual path? How many times have we been pulled off our spiritual path? I've been pulled off my spiritual path. I have. I bet you every single one of you have been pulled off more than one time. And sometimes it's because of the opposite sex. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Because they're all cute and all that. And pretty soon, you know, at first they're coming to your spiritual gatherings with you or church or wherever you're going, and they're coming and then little by little as the relationship develops, they're like, oh, I'm really tired today. Well, I really wanted to take you to lunch today. Oh, but I really wanted to do this today. Oh, well, I'm really not feeling good. But as soon as the time passes to go to that spiritual whatever, it's, oh, I feel good, let's go home. Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you get it? We've all done it. I've had somebody pull me off I've pulled me off my spiritual path. How many of you have pulled your own self off your spiritual path at times? I have. We all have. This isn't about looking back and smacking yourself. This is about looking back and going, oh, that was a lesson. Because history repeats itself, doesn't it? And so do our own lives. And I'm going to share a little story, and then we're going to close, and I'm going to tell you the secret. Okay? All right. So here's my story, and it's my personal story, okay? I was at one point in my life, money-driven. I had led a very spiritual life up until about 20, and I started working for IBM, and, well, money and status became something I was striving for. And I wasn't being very spiritual. I was making a lot of money. I wasn't really doing good with it. You know, I'd walk in, buy a $10,000 suit, and not even look at it. It was $10,000? You know what I could do with $10,000 in a third world country? I could build a medical facility. I dropped it on a suit. Are you kidding me? Do you see how easily we get distracted? But it's about seeing the lesson and going, oh. I'll give you an example. Something recreated itself in my life. And I had to go, wait a minute, this is the exact situation that happened several years ago, like to the T. And I had allowed somebody in my life who had ulterior motives, okay? And I kept ignoring it because I kept thinking, well, you know, I don't have anything to worry about. I'm secure, you know. I was comparing and going, I don't have anything to worry about, even though my gut was going, alarm, alarm, whoop, whoop, whoop. How many of you have had the alarm and you ignored it? And then it bit you in your tushy. And it hurt. So the same thing recreated itself, the exact same situation. And I found myself going into my head and doing the same thing. Well, I have nothing to worry about because of all, and I was doing, and I went, whoa, no. Thank you. I learned that lesson. Does that make sense? And so it's almost like it's recreated in your life to see, did you catch the lesson from last time? And history repeats itself for that same reason. Hey, species, did you catch it? If not, well, we're going right down that road again. Does that make sense? So it's about just seeing the lessons. The more you see the lessons, the more you observe, the more you are going to step into a higher evolutionary consciousness in your mind space. And what's going to happen is the first thing you're going to notice is you're going to notice that I'm delaying. Mother Earth is sacred. She's an organism, just like we're an organism. She has her own ecological state. We have our own ecological state. We have more bacteria cells than we have blood cells. We have yeast, fungus. We have everything inside of us, our own ecological system. Mother Earth has hers. She sustains us. She's the best mother I've ever had. She is. She cares for me. She feeds me. She gives me air. She gives me water. She doesn't ask what's in it for her. She just gives. Just gives, and loves, and coddles. heels. The second thing that you're going to notice is that you realize we are all sacred. You're sacred, and you're sacred, and you're sacred, and you're sacred. You're all sacred. All of us, no matter what your belief system, no matter what your culture is, no matter what your color is, no matter what your lifestyle is, you're all sacred. You're sacred. Your honor to other people is to show them their sacredness through you. You're just a mirror to other people. That's all we are. We're here to spur each other on and to help each other. I tell you what, try to evolve by isolating yourself in the woods. It's difficult because we need each other. We're pack animals. We're mammals. And we're currently undergoing a mass extinction of mammals. We are mammals. We, as a group, as small as we are mighty. The next thing you'll notice, all fear dissipates. All of a sudden, you no longer are in fear. You no longer are fearful of authority or fearful of speaking out and you're being made fun of, or fearful of saying that fear is just false evidence appearing real. You're no longer fearful. You start seeing fear as there's no reason to be fearful. Why am I fearful? When you reach a certain evolutionary consciousness state, you lose fear. It's gone. It doesn't exist. On your plane, it doesn't exist. Fear is gone. The next thing that happens is all of a sudden you're driven by ecological and humanitarian efforts. You no longer walk past somebody that's hungry without giving them some food. You no longer are misled into believing that more war will solve a problem. Well, they're killing Christians over there. And so we're going to solve a problem by doing what? We're being killed over here by our food and our water. What do we need to do? We need to change ourselves. We don't need to be looking everywhere else and changing everybody else. First, we change us, and through changing us, we change the world. Does that make sense to you? All of a sudden, you get tremendous strength and confidence. How many of you speak louder now than you did when you were younger? Like, it's okay if people make fun of you. So what? What are they going to say you haven't heard? They're going to call you a name? They're going to make fun. You're a chicken. You go into one of those new agey places. Okay. And in the big scheme of things, does it matter? Does it really matter? Does it matter what somebody else thinks about you? Does it? Like in the really big picture. Does it matter what anyone thinks of you? I've told my kids since they were little, people will always talk about you. They have about come on, they talked about Buddha and Jesus. You think they're not going to talk about you? The thing is that you have to lay your head down at night, knowing that what you did that day was the absolute best that you could do. Look back and see the lessons where you could have done a little bit better, where you did really great. Learn the lessons, and you're good. It doesn't matter what your neighbor's saying about you. It doesn't matter what your boss is saying about you. It doesn't matter what your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your aunt, your uncle. It does not matter. It matters in your heart that you know who you are. And last but not least, you lose the focus on insignificant matters that are not assisting in becoming more evolved as a species. Now, we all need money to survive in this until we go back to the barter system. You know. But our focus doesn't need to be money. Our focus doesn't need to be a bigger house, a bigger car, more things, more. I mean, most of you have more clothes than you can wear in a week. I walk into somebody's closet and they go, I've got nothing to wear. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm going to take it all and give it to a homeless person. Do you understand? We all start seeing things from a really skewed perspective. But when we evolve, and the more we evolve, the more this happens. So here's the key. Because we've all heard love heals all things and love's the answer, right? I'm going to give you a small little thing and ask you, how many of you loved before? Just raise your hand if you've loved. Okay. All right. And it feels good, doesn't it? Now, how many have you loved in gratitude? When you love in gratitude, and what that means, let's say most people will feel that when they have a baby. just this tremendous gratitude of, oh, this baby is so old, I can't believe, wow, we created that, oh, and it's just this overwhelming, holy moly, just, oh, God. And it's so strong. How many of you have heard of mothers and fathers that have picked up cars off their children? I mean, done just, it's because they love in gratitude. If you don't have the gratitude component, the love does not have its true power. When you can love through gratitude, it is like a key, a secret key that opens up that anything is possible. Anything. You can heal the earth, the waters, hunger, because you're doing it through love and gratitude. Anger, we study people and we go, okay, well, angry people make people angry, and it just snowballs. But also loving people make people loving, and it's the exact same snowball. So if you focus on yourself and being in love and gratitude, then I come in your space, I initiate that in your energy flow, and I initiate that in your energy flow. Does that make sense? So all I ask, I don't ask for war, I don't ask for revolution, I don't ask for taking up arms. I ask that you take a stand. You take a stand in love and gratitude. Do not walk the other way and think it does not affect you, it does. If you're allowing a human being or a species to be mistreated, it does affect you. You may not see it right now, you may not see it for a year, you may not see it for 20, but you will see it, I promise. It affects you. So if you stand in love and in gratitude and peace and harmony and you send it out, you are changing the world. You are an amazing, powerful, spiritual being walking in human form. I invite you to step into that power. The Dalai Lama says, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. And if you think about that, you could do a full meditation just on that and be shown all the ways it's proven itself in nature over and over and over again. Love and compassion. Wow. I like that. So will you do me a favor and close your eyes and open your palms? I'm going to ask you to receive the information that you are a powerful, powerful spiritual being, capable of all things. The power that is the kingdom that lies within you has no limits. It does not understand, cannot. I invite you, with your breath, to breathe in and ask to be shown how powerful you are. That you are a child of the creative force. And that force created you for greatness. I ask that you receive the love and the abundance and the flow that the Creator has for you. And I ask that you allow that to come back into you, into your being, and into your knowing. I ask that when you breathe in this, that you feel the gratitude of the health that you have, of the sustenance that is given to you, of the home that you live in and the bed that you lie in, of the shoes that are on your feet, and of the love that exists abundantly inside of you. Creator, Great Spirit, we come to you today in a good way. We ask that we have received a lot of information and knowledge and understanding today. Help us to see all of those lessons that were meant for us. Help us to connect back with you, Great Spirit. and to the gratitude and to the love that flows so freely. As we breathe in abundance and love, and we allow it to flow through us, to flow through our veins, our tissues, to overflow from us. Feel the abundance of love. And we ask that we send this love out into our cities, our states, our communities, our brothers and our sisters in the world. We send it out to Mother Earth. We send it out to the leaders of the continents, that their hearts may be pierced with love and peace and with harmony. We send it to the ends of the earth and out into the universe. We ask that it be returned to us 1,000-fold only, so that we may send it out again. Great Spirit, help us to see all of the lessons in our daily lives. Help us to walk tenderly and gently on Mother Earth, to stand and be her voice, to have love and abundance in our heart and kindness on our lips, not just towards ourselves, but to all beings that exist. We ask this in the name of all that is, with love and gratitude. So it shall be. Amen.